Hello and welcome to New Wave Global. You are watching Unraveled with Marvi Sirmed. And joining us tonight is a very special guest, Mr. Aizaz Gill, the Republican nominee for Pennsylvania's 172nd Legislative District. Mr. Gill's recent roles include serving as first Pakistani descent multilingual community outreach coordinator for City Commissioner Al Schmidt, and then as Pennsylvania's policy director for Business for America, where he focused on strengthening democracy and fostering job creation. Most recently, he successfully managed Philadelphia City Councilman Brian O'Neill's re-election campaign that led to Mr. O'Neill's landslide victory this past November. Tonight, we'll delve into not only Mr. Gill's vision for the district and his policy priorities, but also his South Asian roots and upbringing that made him what he is today. Mr. Gill, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being on here. And you have a very impressive resume as yourself, so I'm quite honored to join you.
Oh, thank you very much. So, Mr. Gill, tell us something about your background and your motivation to run for office and joining politics.
Yeah, so I was motivated to run for primarily two reasons. First, as the son of immigrants, I've seen the American dream firsthand, and I want to make it as achievable as possible for everyone. Second, I love my community, and I want to give back to it for all it has given me. I'm running as a Republican in a predominantly Democratic city, because I believe more in the ability of people to achieve their goals than I do in the government being able to fix their lives. Government, of course, has a role, but we need to give kids a good education. We need to keep our streets safe. We need to keep help job creators and working families. The fact is that government isn't doing those base jobs, particularly in the city of Philadelphia, well enough right now. And I think I can help make sure it does. It's my motivation for running for a political office comes from a strictly community standpoint.
Okay. So, why Republican? I mean,
I am
is
a
it too
Republican.
personal to ask?
I'm sorry? No, I've been the first time. So I'm obviously a naturalized citizen. The first time I registered to vote, it was as a Republican. I believe in the tenets of the Republican Party. I believe in small government. It's just that's what my beliefs are.
What are going to be your key policy priorities for for Philadelphia?
It's good. So it's a good question. I'm just going to rephrase the question slightly, because so as a state representative, I can't really change city policies, but what I can do is help put forth policies that will make life a little better and a little easier for Philadelphia residents and residents across the state as well. What we need to do is we need to restore public safety in the city of Philadelphia, and the way to do that, I think the way to start doing that is by impeaching our current district attorney Larry Krasner. So Philadelphia is, I'm going to go into context a little for there, but Philadelphia has a population of 1.5 million. Now, roughly estimated about 1.5 million. Now, in 2021 and 2022, the homicide numbers in Philadelphia were over 500. Last year was over 400. Nothing to write home about, but now I'm going to compare that to New York. Now, New York has a population of 8.5 million, yet their homicide numbers are lower than ours. And you look, I'm not a math wizard, but it's very clear that we have a much smaller population than New York, yet their homicide numbers are lower than ours. And why is that? They're going to have the same big city issues, perhaps even more than we do, but their homicide numbers are lower. And I think are lower because our current district attorney in Philadelphia is basically a defense attorney who is masquerading as a district attorney. He doesn't do his job of prosecuting criminals, and his policies have created this culture of lawlessness within Philadelphia that we are now seeing. I just brought up the homicide numbers, but we're also talking about retail theft, where people will walk into a store and they will steal items up to a certain value. I'm just arbitrarily giving you a number here, but like I'm just saying the number could be 500, right? Like you go into a store, you steal items worth up to $499, and you can walk right out. And it makes no sense because you're completely creating a culture of lawlessness, and it's also raising a generation of kids who think there's no consequences to their actions.
what would be your first major actions in case
That
you
would
win?
one of my primary focuses in running is because I've seen firsthand what these radical soft on crime policies have done to Philadelphia. We didn't have these things before. So if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, the number one goal I have, and the first thing I'm going to focus on, is to try to have Mr. Krasner impeached so we can, and it's even more important now because the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is the biggest local paper in Philadelphia, reported a couple of weeks back that Mr. Krasner is going to be seeking re-election next year. And quite frankly, this city cannot withstand 4 more years of Larry Krasner. We're already a city under siege with our crime. And if we have 4 more years of him, I don't know if we'll have a city that we'll recognize. So that's going to be the number one thing I'm going to focus on, is to try to impeach Mr. Krasner.
As you mentioned earlier, that this is a predominantly democratic city.
Sure.
What challenges have you faced, or do you foresee being a Republican in a predominantly democratic city, trying to win an election?
So it's you're Northeast Philadelphia. So the 172nd district. I'm gonna go into the weeds a bit, as they say, and try to tell you exactly what this district is. So the 172nd legislative district is in a part of Philadelphia called Northeast Philadelphia. So the neighborhoods it comprises of are half of Ronhurst, half of Burham, where I'm the president of the Civic Association, all Fox Chase, all of Bustleton, and a tiny bit of Somerton. And I bring those neighborhoods up because Northeast Philadelphia is very different than the rest of the city. Northeast Philadelphia is more of like a parochial kind of place in the city of Philadelphia. It votes a little more conservatively, and it's the kind of seat that a pragmatic Republican can win. And I'm going to go back to the parochial part of this for 1 second. So Northeast Philadelphia is the kind of place where when you meet somebody new, you talk to them and then you ask them questions like, okay, what parish are you from? Where did you go to high school? In my case, I went to St. Cecilia. I'm a parishioner there. I also went to Father Judge. I bring these things up, because I'm very proud of them, but also because that's how we talk to each other in the Northeast. Like, that's how I figure out like what part of the Northeast you're from. Like, if you tell me, oh yeah, I go to St. Cecilia, I know you're either going to be from Fox Chase, you're going to be from Burham, or if you tell me that you're, I go to Maternity BVM, that's my parish, I know you're going to be from Bustleton. So first off, it's a very parochial area, and second, it's a very working class kind of neighborhood. So this is slightly different. People look at Philadelphia and go, oh, it's a 7-1 Democrat to Republican kind of place. Yes. But if you come into Northeast Philadelphia, it's a much more different, much different place. And just to break it down more for you, in the 172nd is comprised of 3 political wards. It's half of 56, all of 63, and half of 58th ward. And the 58th ward is one of the wards that Mr. Trump did very well in both 2016 and in 2020. So this is a very winnable seat for a Republican, but the kind of a pragmatic Republican, to be very clear. Sorry, I know I got into like very granular level district politics there, but that is what the seat is, and that's what the district is.
Oh, okay. So, as a migrant, from an immigrant family, person of color, do you think you faced in your political journey so far, have you faced any particular challenge that is specific to being your identity?
It's more so I'm going to answer it this way. Some people, mostly some of my political opponents, they might have looked at me and worry and thought that being an immigrant might hurt me as a candidate. But I don't think that has not happened to me at all. Look, I can't, you can't run away from your roots, and mine are that I'm a legal immigrant from South Asia. And I view that as a strength. I've truly seen what America has to offer. I mean, and I can convey that message. I can convey that the American dream is alive and well. And that's the message I would like to make sure that everyone has the opportunity. That's the message I'd like to push on the campaign trail, that if you work hard, that you have the opportunity to seize what the American dream has to offer. I think the ability to offer and listen to different views is what we need now more than ever in government.
Let's go to South Asia for a bit. And without making you uncomfortable, because I think politicians, American politicians, would rather talk about America than other places. But I know that you were very young when you came here, and you are totally integrated in American system. You're an American citizen. But do you have some recollection of how Pakistan was when you left Pakistan?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly remember remember things from Pakistan, but it's mostly I didn't get to see some of the stuff that my parents did. I remember most of the good stuff, the stuff that my parents sheltered me. So in some ways they sheltered me from some of the worst that Pakistan has to offer. So my memories are of Basant, or my memories are of Food Street on in Lahore, or we were talking. Your producer and I were talking earlier. We were talking about the 1999 World Cup when Pakistan lost to Australia in the final, and how devastating of a loss that was. So most of my memories are of those kinds of things. But I also realize that there's a lot of there's some ugliness there as well. That my parents immigrated here when I was 9 years old, and those are some of that ugliness and stuff that my parents really protected me from. I am running for a state representative in the state of Pennsylvania. I do not have much there's not much I can control in terms of foreign policy, but if anyone out there is ever listening, laws like 295C are not good for a country, particularly when they're applied to minority groups to oftentimes punish them for things that may not even have ever happened, and just to settle personal vendettas.
I understand that your politics is very local and you don't attach yourself to these bigger issues as of now. But certainly you have, do you have plans, looking beyond your immediate elections, if God willing, you win the elections, beyond that term, do you have any plans to, any bigger aspirations for high political office?
Honestly, I'm running for the office I want, the office that will let me positively impact the people of my community in a way that they can really see. This isn't a stepping stone for me, and I'm focused 100% on the November election, nothing beyond it. And I want to, I've said this before. I would not be running for political office if District Attorney Larry Krasner wasn't the District Attorney for Philadelphia. He has truly inspired me to run for this, because I've seen firsthand what devastating policies from someone like him can do to neighborhoods. So I am running for the office that I want to. And to give you a little more context in terms of that, right now the Pennsylvania House is 102 Democrats to 101 Republicans. And so if I'm able to flip the seat, it goes the other way. The Republicans gain the House. And the Democrats in the House will not impeach Larry Krasner because he's a Democratic district attorney. So that's one of my primary reasons, as I mentioned, is because of that. So this is a position I want to run for, and I'm 100% focused on this.
I was reading your profile, and one thing that I noticed, and I was quite happy to notice that your profile says you have South Asian descent.
Yes.
Which is like very unusual for a Pakistani or even an Indian to say. They specifically put the name of their country. The South Asian roots, which are like shared culture, shared roots, shared
On both sides of the border.
Yeah,
how do I not? I mean, it would
absolutely.
be so. I have family on both sides of the border, so I can't just say one. My. So it's very easy for me to say that. I won't get into the politics of the partition. That's a much longer conversation. that I don't have the time for today. But I still, to this day, I still have family that lives in India, and I still have family that is in Pakistan as well. I was born in Pakistan, but I am a South Asian because
Yeah,
having
that's very important to own. I mean, I was really happy to notice that. So which part of Pakistan and which part of India your
so
family
I
comes from?
well, most of my family is in Sialkot. That's where I was born. But I have family that lives in Lahore. I have family that lives in Rawalpindi. There's a couple. I'm sorry now because there's gonna be people who are gonna get upset. Oh, actually, I have some family in Faisalabad as well. Anyone whose city I didn't mention, I will surely hear that. Oh, you missed us. But those are some of the major ones. And then on the Indian side, there's family in Delhi. And this was before the partition. They that's partly what the partition did is it split off families.
Yeah,
People came over to one side or the other. But yeah, most of the family that I know of in India is over in Delhi. Uh,
okay.
so even some of the family that do have that are in the U.S. on the Indian side of things, they're down in South Carolina or Florida right now. So
Oh, okay.
yes.
So before the program, we started the recording, I was hearing you talking about cricket. So when you were in Pakistan, I know you were very young. As a child, you came here. But did when Pakistan won World Cup, were you in Pakistan or you were
No,
all
actually, Pakistan did not win the World Cup in '99. So
in
when they won
92?
in '92, that's the year I was born. One
Oh,
when they won in '99, I was 7 years old, and it was like the first ever crushing defeat that I experienced in my life. So it's very much ingrained in me when Pakistan lost the '99 World Cup final to Australia. I wasn't born actually. If I remember correctly, the World Cup in '92 happened I think, in the summer. I wasn't born until September, so I never have
oh,
actually seen in my life, even on a technicality, I have not seen Pakistan win the World Cup. Although
oh.
nowadays, I'm a much bigger New Zealand cricket team fan. That was another discussion we were having because I'm a big fan of Kane Williamson, and New Zealand are the nice guys of cricket, so I wanted to see them win. But no, I didn't get to see Pakistan win World Cup.
Any other lingering memory that you have from Pakistan?
I think I mentioned Food Street.
Yeah, Food Street. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to take make my dad take me there a lot. I was a big fan of Food Street in Lahore, and then of course Basant. Although I think Basant was a really big festival. I have a lot of good memories of that. And then of course I think I brought up cricket to you already. I used to play a lot of cricket with my cousins. And I think I played on my school team as well. So from anyone from the city school in Sialkot, shout out to you guys. That was an interesting. That's what I remember mostly.
Yeah. And how did you, if you can recollect some memories, how did your family celebrate Christmas back then in Pakistan? Because
I
that
think
must be very
mostly,
different from how do you do it here.
yeah. I mean, it's probably the same as most people. I imagine it was you go to church, you have a Christmas tree at your house. Although you were, I guess, here it's a little different. You have like decorations outside, and you go to mass, and everyone's celebrating Christmas here in the U.S. Whereas Pakistan, it was a very small minority of people that did that. I
Yeah.
guess it's a little more out in the very much out in the open in the United States than it was in Pakistan.
But you did enjoy in Pakistan as well, or was it not very fun for kids?
It was my parents made it as fun for me and for our family as you could possibly make it be. I mean, you still got presents, you still got to hear about Santa. So we celebrated Christmas over there as well.
Considering that Philadelphia is a very diverse, I think, diverse place where there are many immigrants, there are people of color, there are different communities. Um, do you think that sometimes, because there are many South Asians as well, so do you think sometimes the politics of South Asia plays at the local level in your county, in your city?
I So I'm not sure what the question, like, what do you mean when the politics of South Asia?
I mean, Pakistan-India divide, maybe
No,
Pakistan-Bangladesh
I've
divide.
yet to, I have yet to encounter that. For the
Okay.
most part, if I knock on someone's door, and we haven't gotten into this, but yet door knocking over here is a big way to of voter outreach. But I've yet to encounter anyone that has said to me that, oh, because you're, no one Indian has said to me like, oh, you're Pakistani, I'm not going to vote for you, or no one. I have yet to, or no one from Bangladesh has looked at me and said, "Oh yeah, no, you speak, you speak Urdu, or you're Pakistani, so I'm not going to vote for you." So I have yet to see that. The only time that I've ever seen it is when there's a cricket match between India and Pakistan. That's when those old lines come back out. But other than that, I do not see the politics of South Asia coming in to Northeast Philadelphia in the way you were talking about.
At this point, I should thank you, but I just a question popped up in my mind. If you allow me to ask, this is very important for me to know. What Pakistani food you crave most?
This is a very easy question. If this is oftentimes you get you'll get those. If you could only have one meal, what would you have? The answer is a very simple. I love me some chicken biryani.
Oh yeah. Okay. So cheers to chicken biryani, and here's for your success in election. I thank you, Mr. Gill, for sharing your insights and plans with us. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in. We hope this discussion has been enlightening and helps you make an informed decision at the polls. Remember, your vote is your voice. For more updates and in-depth coverage, keep watching New Wave Global. Good night, everyone. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and never stop standing up for what is right. Good night.
Thank you.